The air in Proxima Station tasted of metal and resignation. Theron Rask wiped the scarred countertop of the Nebula's Edge Tavern, his movements deliberate and measured. 3 years of carefully crafted anonymity, serving drinks, keeping his head down, watching. Always watching. Another demanded a draconian officer, shoving his empty glass forward, scales glinting under the bar's dim lighting. Theron poured without comment. The fewer words spoken, the less chance of revealing the accent that would mark him as Terran, human, and therefore suspect in this remote outpost of the crystalline empire. Through the viewport behind the bar, the permanent amber twilight of Proxima Station cast everything in a sickly glow. The dying star it orbited, nicknamed the Ember by locals, bathed the central plaza in burnt orange. Imperial banners snapped in the artificial breeze, marking territory conquered 5 years ago when the crystalline empire annexed this sector. "Execution today," remarked Joris, the Mercurian cook, his silvery skin reflecting kitchen lights as he chopped something unidentifiable. Stellarian scientist, found with a human lover. Theron's rhythm faltered imperceptibly. Genetic contamination. What else? Joris shrugged. Emperor Zareth's favorite law. Can't have species mixing, especially with humans. Too unpredictable, they say. Theron grunted noncommittally, but his mind raced. Stellarians, crystalline-based life forms with remarkable telepathic abilities, were prized Imperial scientists. Executing one meant the offense was serious. As the afternoon stretched toward evening, the bar emptied. Announcements echoed through the station's communication system, urging citizens to attend the purification ceremony, a euphemism for public execution. When the last patron stumbled out, Theron moved to the window. The plaza had transformed, a massive crowd surrounding a central platform where Imperial guards in polished black armor stood at attention. Above them loomed a crystalline obelisk, the Empire's symbol of purity and order. "Coming to watch?" Joris asked, untying his apron. "Go ahead," Theron replied, not looking away from the window. "I'll close up." After Joris left, Theron's composure shifted. His shoulders straightened, his gaze sharpened, the careful mask of indifference falling away. In the reflection of a bottle, he studied his own face, dark hair cropped short, stubble carefully maintained to look unkempt rather than deliberate, features unremarkable by design. The crowd roared. Through the window, Theron watched as they brought forward the prisoner, a female Stellarian with skin like polished obsidian embedded with points of light that shimmered like captured stars. Her hands bound, she walked with her chin high, refusing to be dragged. Imperial Commander Drevix, resplendent in ceremonial armor, began his speech, his voice carrying through the public address system. "Citizens of the glorious crystalline empire, today we witness justice against Nick Solra, formerly an honored xenobiologist, now condemned for the crime of genetic contamination. Her willful romance with a human threatened the purity of bloodlines established by imperial decree." Guards forced Nyx to her knees before the obelisk. Despite her humiliation, her star-speckled eyes remained defiant, scanning the crowd not with fear, but with judgment. Something stirred in Theron's chest, a feeling he'd buried so deep he barely recognized it. Without conscious thought, he moved. He placed his empty glass on the counter, removed his apron, and walked toward the door. Outside, the ceremony continued. For corrupting imperial genetic protocols, for allowing emotional attachment to override scientific duty, Nyx Solra will undergo neural recalibration. Her memories will be cleansed, her emotions erased, her body purged of all contaminants. The ultimate imperial punishment, worse than death, becoming an empty shell, reprogrammed to serve. Theron moved through the crowd like smoke, fluid and unnoticed until he stepped into the empty circle surrounding the platform. Then all eyes turned. "Excuse me," said a guard, hand moving to his weapon. "Return to the designated viewing area." Theron smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "I have a proposition." The guard hesitated. confused by the calm statement. Commander Dravix turned, irritated by the interruption. "What nonsense is this?" Theron addressed him directly, voice carrying across the suddenly hushed plaza. "A wager. If I defeat all your guards in 1 minute, you release the woman." Laughter rippled through the crowd, starting with the officials and spreading outward. Dravix's mouth curved into an amused sneer. "You, a bartender?" He gestured to the 16 elite guards surrounding the platform. "These are Imperial first response soldiers, trained in 20 combat forms." 59 seconds, then, Theron amended, glancing at his outdated wrist chronometer. "I'm feeling generous." The commander's amusement deepened. "And if you fail, I join her." Theron nodded toward Nyx, whose star-flecked eyes had widened with confusion. "Very well. Your funeral will extend our ceremony." Dravix waved dismissively. "Apprehend this fool." "Wait," Theron called, raising one finger. "Official time check." He made a show of synchronizing his chronometer with the plaza's main clock. The delay heightened the drama, drawing more attention. Citizens pressed closer, eager for this unexpected entertainment. "Beginning now," Theron announced. What happened next would later be described in dozens of contradictory accounts. Some swore the bartender moved faster than physically possible. Others claimed he barely seemed to move at all, that the guards simply fell around him as if struck by an invisible force. The first 4 guards rushed him simultaneously. Theron sidestepped the leader, gripped his armor at precise junctures, and redirected his momentum into his companions. 3 collapsed in a tangle of limbs. The 4th received a precise strike to his neural implant, shorting his motor functions. More guards converged. Theron flowed between them, each movement economical and devastating. He disabled armor systems with targeted electromagnetic pulses from devices concealed in his knuckles. He exploited pressure points unique to each species represented among the guards. 28 seconds, he called out, almost cheerfully. Commander Dravix's amusement had evaporated. "Activate combat protocols." The remaining guards drew energy weapons. Theron's expression didn't change. He pulled a small sphere from his pocket and tossed it upward. It exploded in a flash of blue light, temporarily disabling electronic systems within a 10-meter radius. In the darkness that followed, screams and thuds marked Theron's continued progress. When emergency lighting flickered back on 17 seconds later, all 16 guards lay incapacitated. Theron stood at the base of the platform, breathing evenly, not a hair out of place. 14 seconds to spare, he remarked, checking his chronometer. Silence blanketed the plaza. Commander Dravix's face contorted with rage and disbelief. His hand moved to his own weapon. "I wouldn't," Theron advised softly. "Our wager was for the guards only. If you involve yourself, there are no terms to protect you." Dravix hesitated, calculating odds and witnesses. The crowd watched, breaths held collectively. "Who are you?" he demanded. Theron ascended the platform steps. "Just a bartender with good timing." He approached Nyx, who watched him with wary fascination. "Ready to leave?" "You have no authority to release a prisoner," Dravix sputtered. "I have the authority of a wager accepted before witnesses," Theron countered, his voice pitched to carry. "Unless the word of an Imperial commander means nothing." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Even conquered peoples valued honor, perhaps especially conquered peoples, who had little else left. Dravix's face darkened further, but he jerked his head toward Nyx. "Take the contaminated waste. The Empire will find you both." Theron helped Nyx to her feet and deftly removed her restraints. "Time to go," he whispered. Together they descended the platform as the crowd parted before them, fear and awe creating a path clearer than any guard's command could have. "Why?" Nyx asked when they were halfway across the plaza, her voice like crystal wind chimes. "I hate a boring evening," Theron replied, guiding her toward a side corridor. "And I've got a ship to catch. Thought you might want a ride." Behind them, Commander Drovix's voice rose. 5,000 credits for their capture. Theron sighed. And now we run. They sprinted into the labyrinthine depths of Proxima Station, leaving chaos in their wake and rumors that would spread through the Empire faster than any official communication. Rumors of a human who moved like lightning and a star-skinned Stellarian who defied the Emperor himself. The legend of Theron and Nyx had begun. The maintenance tunnels of Proxima Station formed a maze of shadows and steam designed to be navigated only by service droids and emergency personnel. For Theron and Nyx, they offered temporary sanctuary. "We need to change your appearance," Theron said, leading her through a narrow passage. His movements were precise, suggesting intimate knowledge of the station's architecture. Stellarians aren't exactly inconspicuous. Nyx touched the crystalline formations that spiraled along her temples. In darkness, the star-like points embedded in her obsidian skin glowed softly, illuminating their path with gentle blue light. "My bioluminescence cannot be suppressed," she stated. "It's connected to my respiratory system." Theron paused at an intersection, checking his wrist device. "Then we work with it instead of against it." He tapped a code into a maintenance panel, revealing the hidden storage compartment. From inside, he withdrew emergency supplies and a technician's uniform. "Imperial technicians wear reflective gear," he explained, handing her the uniform. "With hood up and some modifications, you'll pass as Lumary. They're naturally luminescent." While Nyx changed, Theron removed a false panel from his wristband, revealing sophisticated scanning technology incompatible with a bartender's salary. He swept it around them, checking for tracking signatures. "Your combat techniques," Nyx observed. "Third-tier Terran Special Forces training." Theron's eyes narrowed. "You're well-informed for a scientist." "I specialize in comparative xenophysiology," she replied. "Movement patterns are a particular interest." "Convenient." "For whom?" A spark of defiance flashed in her star-flecked eyes. "I am still deciding whether to trust you, human." "Theron," he corrected, "and trust is a luxury neither of us can afford right now. Proxima has 4 possible exit points, all heavily monitored. We need a diversion. Commander Dravix will expect us to attempt to escape via the docking bays," Nyx reasoned. "Therefore, we should use the waste disposal system." They concluded simultaneously. Their eyes met, mutual appreciation flickering between them. "Secondary access port in Sector 7, Theron said. "Scheduled purge in 23 minutes, if we time it correctly. The automated system will eject us with the waste material. Beyond scanning range," Nyx finished. "Primitive, but effective." They moved through the tunnels with renewed purpose. Twice they froze as patrols passed nearby, Theron's hand instinctively moving to Nyx's arm to still her. The second time, she placed her hand over his, their skin connecting with an unexpected static charge that made both withdraw quickly. "Interesting," she murmured. "What?" "Nothing." She pulled the technician's hood lower, a scientific observation. They reached Sector 7 as station-wide alerts announced a Level 1 security breach. Theron's face remained impassive, but his movements accelerated. He bypassed the access panel to the waste disposal chamber with practiced ease. "Impressive for a bartender," Nyx remarked. "I've had multiple careers." Theron gestured her inside. 12 minutes until purge. We need environmental suits." The chamber contained massive sorting mechanisms that processed station waste for ejection into space. Along one wall hung emergency suits for maintenance workers. Theron selected 2, checking their integrity. "These will protect us during ejection, but they're not designed for prolonged exposure," he explained, helping Nyx into one. "We'll have 7 minutes of oxygen after ejection." And then, Theron's lips curved into a half-smile, "and then we hope my associate is punctual." As they sealed their suits, a new alarm sounded. The chamber door slammed shut, locking automatically. "Manual override initiated," announced the station's AI. Waste disposal sequence accelerated. Purge commencing in 60 seconds. Theron spun toward the control panel. They're forcing the purge early. Can you stop it? Not enough time. His fingers flew over the controls. But I can redirect the ejection trajectory. Towards what? Preferably not empty space. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked. Hold on to something. This will be unpleasant. The chamber rumbled as massive gears engaged. Nyx gripped a support beam, her luminescence pulsing with increased heart rate. Theron secured himself beside her as the floor beneath them began to tilt. 30 seconds to purge, the AI announced. Your associate, Nyx said suddenly. How will they find us with altered coordinates? Theron tapped his helmet. Subsonic transponder. Old resistance technology. Resistance? Nyx's eyes widened. You're with thee. The floor dropped away completely. They plummeted into darkness, surrounded by station debris as the ejection sequence initiated. Compressed air propelled them through a narrow tube, bodies tumbling uncontrollably. Purge complete, said the AI's distant voice. Space engulfed them, silent and vast. The momentum of ejection sent them spinning away from Proxima Station, its imposing structure already shrinking in the distance. Through her helmet, Nyx watched the stars wheel around her until Theron's stabilizing grip anchored her. 5 minutes of oxygen. He warned through the suit's communication system. They drifted in silence, two small figures against the cosmic backdrop. Proxima's security vessels emerged from the station, searchlights scanning methodically outward. They're searching a standard pattern, Theron observed. We're currently outside their grid, but not for long. Your associate seems less than punctual, Nyx replied, oxygen counter steadily decreasing. He's always had a flair for dramatic timing, a trait you share. Theron's chuckle resonated through the comm system. Among others, 3 minutes of oxygen remained when a shadow passed overhead, blocking the stars. Not a ship, at least not like any Imperial design. It resembled a massive spaceborne creature, mottled and irregular. What is that? Nyx whispered. Our ride. Theron activated his transponder. Asteroid camouflage. The Empire's scanners register it as space debris. A seam appeared along the asteroid's underside, revealing a small docking bay. Tractor beams engaged, drawing them gently upward as security vessels changed course, moving in their direction. They've spotted the anomaly, Nyx warned. Too late. The bay doors closed around them, just as oxygen reserves hit critical. Atmosphere flooded the chamber, and gravity gradually returned. They removed their helmets as internal lights illuminated the space, a utilitarian cargo hold retrofitted with salvage technology. A tall, lanky figure emerged from an adjacent corridor. Orion Blackwell had the rangy build of someone raised in low gravity, with pale skin that suggested minimal exposure to natural sunlight. His smile, however, was warm and genuine. Cutting it close as usual, Theron, he remarked, helping them out of the environmental suits. Perfect timing. As usual, Orion, Theron replied. Security vessels closing in. Already gone. Engaged stealth systems and executed a microjump the moment you were aboard. Orion's attention shifted to Nyx. Curiosity evident. You must be the scientist worth risking execution for. Dr. Nyx Solera. She introduced herself formally. And you are? Just a smuggler with questionable friends. Orion glanced at Theron. Speaking of which, extraction was successful, but complications arose. Dravix called in an enforcer. Theron's expression hardened. Which one? Commander Vex. The name hung in the recycled air like a toxic cloud. Nyx observed the subtle tension that rippled through Theron's body. Who is Commander Vex? She asked. Imperial Special Enforcer, Theron explained. Specializes in hunting resistance members. And has a particular interest in you, Orion added. The feeling's mutual. Theron turned to Nyx. We need to move quickly. This vessel is headed to the outer territories. From there, we can. No, Nix interrupted. I cannot leave this sector. Both men stared at her. I understand your gratitude may feel limited, Orion began, but returning is suicide. You misunderstand. Nix's luminescence pulsed with intensity. My research partner is still imprisoned on Proxima. He was captured with me, but scheduled for separate processing. The human they accused you of contaminating. Theron realized. Professor Julian Reed. Nix's voice softened. We were researching genetic compatibility between species. Our findings contradicted imperial doctrine about human genetic unpredictability. That's why you were sentenced to recalibration instead of standard execution, Theron said. They want your research. Nix nodded. Julian possesses the only complete backup of our data. The Empire doesn't know this. They believe I was the primary researcher. Theron and Orion exchanged looks. Where would they hold him? Theron asked. Research detention. Level 8. Nix replied. It's where they keep scientists too valuable to eliminate, but too dangerous to allow freedom. Level 8 is a fortress, Orion protested. Biometric security, neural scanners, quantum locks. All bypassed during maintenance cycles. Theron countered, which occur every 48 hours. You're not seriously considering going back. Orion's voice rose incredulously. Our mission was extraction of key scientists. Theron reminded him. Dr. Solara and her research partner qualify. Our mission was one extraction. Orion corrected. Command will never authorize. I'm not asking command. Theron's tone ended further discussion. He turned to Nix. Your research. What exactly did you discover?